As dawn's first rays came over the Blue Ridge Mountains, Thomas Jonathan Jackson began his day alone in prayer. Major Jackson, proud owner of a home on Washington Street in Lexington, Virginia, was the professor of natural and experimental philosophy at the nearby Virginia Military Institute. Every morning after his private prayers and his customary cold bath, he took a brisk walk through town. He loved Lexington and called it the most beautiful place that I remember of having ever seen when taken in connection with the surrounding country. Heading south on Main Street, he passed his church, Lexington Presbyterian. His deep faith made him one of its most active members. He taught Sunday school, dutifully gave 1/10 of his income to the church, and was elected a deacon. It was here that he organized a Sunday school for the black people of Lexington. During his walks, he often paused at the cemetery on Main Street. Here, his first wife, Eleanor Junkin Jackson, lay buried with their infant son in the Junkin family plot. Jackson's second child, Mary Graham Jackson, infant daughter of his second wife, Mary Anna Morrison Jackson, was buried in the family plot Jackson purchased in 1858. One day, this cemetery would be his final resting place as well. He returned home for family prayers at 7, followed by breakfast. After the meal, he set out to teach his classes at the Virginia Military Institute. Jackson walked to work across the campus of Washington College. Here, he and his first wife, Eleanor, had lived in the home of her father, George Junkin, the college president. Continuing his walk, Jackson passed the Colonnade and Washington Hall. At the sight of the new barracks at the Virginia Military Institute, Jackson threw back his shoulders. He strode past the parade ground with a quick step and into his classroom in the barracks. The cadets drew to attention and saluted as they entered old Jack's classroom. Jackson taught natural and experimental philosophy, which included challenging subjects such as physics, astronomy, optics, acoustics, and mechanics. In keeping with practices of the day, just as when Jackson was a cadet at the United States Military Academy at West Point, he assigned texts and graded cadets on their daily recitations. He heard rather than taught the lessons of the text. After morning class, Major Jackson returned home, passing Main Street shops owned by friends, greeting acquaintances, tipping his hat to the ladies. He frequently stopped at the post office in the Withrow House on the corner of Main and Washington Streets, anticipating a letter from his sister Laura. While there, he would put his head in the door of the Lexington Savings Institute. He was a member of its board of directors. On arrival home midday, Jackson always devoted time to Bible study. He next turned to his textbooks and prepared his classes for the following day. In the afternoon, he returned to the Virginia Military Institute to drill the cadets and instruct them in artillery tactics. The cadets respected the major as a hero of the Mexican War, in which he had distinguished himself for bravery under fire. As evening approached, Jackson customarily indulged in his favorite recreation, gardening. In addition to the kitchen garden in the backyard of his home, he bought an 18-acre farm on the edge of Lexington. Here, 3 of his slaves, Hetty and her sons Cyrus and George, helped Jackson grow food for the household. Often he would drive Mrs. Jackson out to the farm and find a shady spot for her under the trees, while he attended to the work of the field. On Saturday evenings, Jackson usually attended a weekly meeting of the Franklin Society at its hall on the corner of Nelson and Jefferson Streets. In 1853, Jackson was elected to this men's library and debating society. Here he sharpened his speaking skills and developed his political thinking. Topics Jackson debated included evolution, states' rights, and women's education. Most evenings, Major and Mrs. Jackson enjoyed each other's company at home. He reviewed his class lessons every evening, and she often read to him. He enjoyed listening to her play the piano that they had purchased on a trip north and shipped back to Lexington by canal boat. Although stern Presbyterians frowned on dancing, Jackson, who had enjoyed dancing at balls in Mexico, frequently danced the polka for exercise in the privacy of his Lexington home. A devoted husband, a conscientious teacher, an active citizen, a successful businessman, a respected community leader, and a devout Christian. This was the Jackson who walked the streets of Lexington. For a decade, this tall, reserved man kept up his routine of self-discipline, duty, and commitment to his faith. But when his beloved Virginia left the Union in April of 1861, Jackson answered the call to service and left behind the Lexington he so loved.